Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe with Deranged. So for years, Yamaha has been a leader in the power sport industry. From being one of the first teams to run a 4-stroke in the Supercross series to the introduction of the Yamaha Rhino back in somewhere around 2006, 2008. That machine became one of the more popular machines that you would find at the dunes and one of the first UTVs to be customized to a large extent. I would even say that Yamaha was partially responsible for popularizing the UTV segment. They have always been part of the conversation in the power sport industry. In 2016, they introduced the Yamaha YXZ 1000R, and it was quickly established as one of the leading pure sport machines, especially in the dunes and for high-speed stuff. Since then, however, consumers have been asking for an all-around machine from Yamaha, something that would allow them to ride comfortably on rocky trails one weekend and then go the next weekend to the dunes and tear it up there. Today, Yamaha is releasing the Wolverine RMAX 1000. Does it hit the mark? Stay tuned to find out. Alright guys, it is out. This is the 2021 Yamaha Wolverine RMAX 1000. I'm sure you've already seen a lot of the specs, so before we get to that, let's talk about what this machine is not. The Wolverine RMAX 1000 is not a dune ripper. It's not an X3, it's not a Honda Talon with a turbo. Although it does have solid shock travel numbers and solid ground clearance numbers, it's not 21 inches of travel and 17 inches of ground clearance. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about what the RMAX 1000 is. The RMAX 1000 is basically a Wolverine taken to the next level. All the places that it could have been improved have been improved. Some places dramatically. If you ask me, they had the Polaris General directly in their sights when they were working on this machine. So before we get to my opinions on the machine and some of the other details, let's get the specs out of the way. So this machine is a 1000 or 999 cc anyway, machine with 109 horsepower. 109 horsepower puts it somewhere near the top for horsepower when you're talking about naturally aspirated machines. As far as the trans goes, it's Yamaha's Ultramatic, basically belt-driven machine. It has that 10-year belt warranty that they're known for on their other Wolverine machines. That carries over to this one as well. It has low, high, neutral, and reverse like most do, but you're not going to be slapping gears like you are in a YXZ. Next, let's take a look at the suspension. The Wolverine has double wishbone suspension all the way around. In the front, you get 14.2 inches of shock travel, while in the rear, you get 16.9. That's pretty solid. As far as ground clearance goes, you're looking at 13.4 inches. And this is a 64-inch machine. It's not one of the wider 68, 70, 72-inch machines that you see out there. This one blows my mind a little bit. So the weight on the 4C version of this machine is 1,993 pounds. So what that means for people like me in the state of Arizona is we get to pay full registration prices if we want it to be street legal. In other words, I'm paying about $500 a year rather than $40, $50, $60 a year. And that's because some of the registration laws in my state are directly related to the weight of the machine. Let's talk about shocks for a second. So they definitely went to a new level on shocks here with the Wolverine. The standard shocks are Fox 2.0 QS3 shocks. In other words, the 3-click clickers that allow you to adjust the suspension. On the limited model, they come with IQS, or the ability to select your ride on the fly while you're driving. It doesn't necessarily adjust on the fly on its own like a Polaris dynamic system would or a Honda live valve would, but the suspension does give you the ability to select from 3 different modes while you're driving without getting out of the cab. The last 2 things as far as specs go that I'll say is it does have a 2,000-pound towing capacity, which has to be one of the ones up there, especially for a sport utility machine. It also comes with a couple different versions of 29-inch tires all the way around to help with the ground clearance and getting over those obstacles. As I mentioned earlier, it does come with the Yamaha 10-year warranty on the belt and the standard 6-month warranty on the machine as a whole. Okay, so now it's time to share my kind of thoughts and opinions on the rig overall. Before I do, don't forget to subscribe. We really appreciate it. We're about to hit 10,000. I think we'll do that today. So from myself, Garrett, and Dave, we really appreciate your subscription. Also, don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. If you disagree with what I'm saying or you agree with what I'm saying, share your thoughts in the comments below. We love to interact with you there. You'll find myself, Garrett, and Dave there on a regular basis. Okay, first I want to touch on styling. So the Wolverine, the previous version, to me, one thing that always stood out was the shape of the cage. The way that they have the back seats kind of sitting up in the bed makes it so the cage kind of comes up to an angle like that. Never been a huge fan of it. With the RMAX, it is a little bit more subtle. It's not quite as abrupt as it is in the standard Wolverine. But I'll say right up front, I'm not a huge fan of the cage shape. The rest of the styling, however, I feel like they knocked it out of the park. The front of it is super aggressive and mean looking. I really do like it. And then the side, the shape of the sides and whatnot, the bodywork, I really do think it looks good. The colorways that they chose, I also think look great. From the gray in the standard model to the blue in the limited edition model, I think they do look awesome. And then that green in the XTR looks great as well. If I was going to choose one for myself, I'd have to go Yamaha Blue. One thing that really stands out to me about this machine is just the versatility in general. So it's got 109 horsepower. I haven't sat in it yet. We're working on it. But I imagine it's going to be a little bit more peppy than the last version, especially given that this thing does 75 miles an hour now. The last version, I don't know what the top speed is offhand, but I think it was somewhere around 55, maybe 60, but I doubt it. With this thing being a 75 mile an hour machine, it's going to allow you to go quicker and do things you weren't able to do before in the Wolverine. I imagine you'll be able to get around okay in the dunes with this Wolverine. So if you're a once a year type of guy going to the dunes and the rest of the time you're hunting, fishing, riding in the mountains, stuff like that, this might be a great option for you. I really think this design in general has a broad appeal compared to a lot of different other machines. Part of that versatility as well is the drive modes. I love that you have 3 different modes to choose from. That you get the trail mode for when you're doing trails. You get sport mode for when you're riding more spirited, as they say in the commercial. And then the crawl mode for when you're doing rock crawling or slow speed stuff. So I really do like the selection or the ability that you have to change the modes in the transmission. Another cool thing that they did is you basically have the ability to add any one of the aftermarket accessories from Yamaha at any time after you bought it. So if you have the standard model and you want to add the Adventure Pro, it's a plug and play deal to be able to add the Adventure Pro into your machine. One thing I'm a big fan of as well is the Yamaha speed key. So that allows you to, with a key, reduce the speed of your machine. A lot of the side-by-sides nowadays are just too powerful to turn over to your 13-year-old. But if you have the ability to, with a switch, limit their speed to 25 miles an hour, I think that allows you to teach them and allow them to go out on their own a little bit better than you would with other machines if you didn't have that ability. Another place where they really knocked it out of the park, if you ask me, is the interior. The interior on the machine is a big upgrade from the previous model, and I've always been impressed with Yamaha's interior on their machines. The YXZ just feels really well done, and this new Wolverine RMAX does as well. From the backlighting in the interior to the lighted switches and all the other touches in the machine, I just feel like the interior on this rig is really well done. All right, so now for my final thoughts on this RMAX 1000. I really do think Yamaha did a great job of releasing a machine that's going to appeal to a ton of different people. It's going to appeal to people who do the tight mountain trails. It's going to appeal to people that do some rock crawling here and there as well. It'll also appeal to people who want to get a little bit of work done, but also use their machine for things like hunting and fishing and getting out in the wild. So like I said, I think Yamaha did a great job of coming out with a machine that's going to appeal to a ton of people. And I think this is going to take the Wolverine sales to the next level for them. With that said, we hope to get into one of these machines real soon. We're working on that right now. Hopefully, we'll be behind the wheel in the next video. Okay, before you go, I wanted to let you know a couple events that we'll be at in the near future and a few things that we have coming. So number one, we have a video coming out in production. It's probably going to be a month or two on the shock therapy setup for the Honda Talon. As you know, I got it installed on mine, and my initial impressions are it's a great setup, but we're going to get some more opinions and bring you guys a full review of the system in not just the mountain trails, but also some desert and dune stuff as well. So look out for that coming. Also, we're going to be at a couple of events coming up soon. So Look for us at the UTV Takeover in Southern Utah, and then also the Side-by-Side Adventure Rally in November as well. So UTV Takeover in October, Side-by-Side Adventure Rally in November. We'll be at both of those. We won't be participating as a vendor or anything else. We'll just be participating in the activities. But look for us on the trails there. With that said, ride safe, pack out what you pack in, and we'll see you on the next one.